when Jim Palmer's nickname was Cakes because he ate pancakes
just
all the
cakes.
time?
Yes.
Jim Palmer?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Deshaun Watson is spotted in Miami. J.J. Watt is intrigued by the Browns, and Naomi Osaka and Serena Williams advance to face each other at the Australian Open. But we begin today with Draymond Green. Green is concerned that NBA players are facing a different standard when they ask to be traded than NBA teams are facing when they decide to sit a player and then trade him. But don't listen to me. Let's listen to Draymond from last night.
At some point, as players, we need to be treated with the same respect and have the same rights that the team can have. Because as a player, you're the worst person in the world when you want a different situation. But a team can say they're trading you, and that man is to stay in shape. He is to stay professional. And if not, his career is on the line.
Wilbon, what do you make of all this?
I love this. I mean, this is one of the reasons why, I love talking and listening to Draymond Green, whether I agree with him on a specific issue or not. This is totally intriguing because you have people out there now that the club has said, okay, we're going to hold you out like Blake Griffin, like Drummond. We're going to hold you out while we explore the possibility of trade. We don't want you to get hurt. We don't want anything to happen to you. We're going to hold you out. And Draymond is such a great advocate in this way, Tony. And he's saying, wait a minute, when it comes to Harden and Kyrie and others who have been traded in the past or they were going to be on the trade block, people killed them for requesting a trade or saying, I want out of here. But yet, if the team says we're going to get you out of here, the team doesn't suffer that same sort of, pushback from the public. They're not under any pressure. They're not ridiculed. He is absolutely right about this. Now, I don't think there are rights involved. I think it's a matter of perception and how the general public, the sporting public, the basketball public perceives these guys. But he is so right about the player bearing the brunt of the responsibility in the team. We'll get rid of you when we want to, and you'll take it. And it's a great conversation Draymond has raised.
Yeah, so I think of Draymond Green as deliberately and consistently provocative. I think that he is an advocate for players' rights. I think he's probably somewhat of an idealist. I have to confess, I never thought about this issue in this way at all. I always thought that the team showed you respect by paying you a lot of money. As Don Draper said, that's what the money's for. Draymond Green, for example, will make $22 million this year. To me, that shows respect. I'm trying to see it from his point of view, and to this degree, I think I can. That you, as a player, can be the victim of a whisper campaign about your character if you ask to leave. But I never thought it was wrong for a team to sit a player when they were going to trade him for fear that he would get hurt. And my pushback on this, Mike, and it may be similar to yours, is that players almost always get what they want. For example, Anthony Davis wanted to leave New Orleans and wanted to go to the Lakers, and he's on the Lakers. And James Harden specifically said, I want to go to the Nets, and he's on the Nets. And I believe that Drummond and Griffin will probably be in a better situation. So it's not that I think Draymond Green is wrong. I'm intrigued by it, but honestly, I never thought of it that way. I just
don't know
didn't.
that I ever thought of it either, Tony, but the trade lately, you have this dynamic between players who want to control their own lives in ways that previous generations of players could not. Didn't dare ask. They'd be thrown out of town, if not the league. And you have teams that can still maneuver players. And again, there's no ridicule. And Draymond is right about that dynamic. There's no question about that dynamic, that the player is held to a different standard by the sporting public. Yeah. Now, is that fair? Is it not fair? It's a great conversation. It is. Tony. I hadn't thought of it either.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But again, my pushback would be that in the recent history of the NBA, particularly if you're a good player, you get to go where you want to go. You actually do. You achieve the exact thing you want, and it's happened for 10 or 15 years now.
If you're a great player.
Yeah, that's right.
James Harden can get that. Listen, let me tell you right now, Drummond and Blake Griffin, they're not going to get it, though. They're not going to have that leverage.
Well, I think they're going to be in a better circumstance than they are right now on losing teams. I do.
Maybe so. It's fun to talk about, though. This is gonna stay out there for a while, Tony. It's not the last time we're gonna get into this issue. Let's move to the NFL and breathless speculation about an Instagram photo featuring Deshaun Watson. The image shows the Texans quarterback hanging out in Miami with, among others, Dolphins players Raekwon Davis and Christian Wilkins, who was a teammate of Watson's at Clemson. Miami is reportedly Watson's preferred trade destination. What a stunner. Let's go to South Beach. You like to read into everything, Tony. So what do you read into this?
I think Deshaun Watson is leaving breadcrumbs on the trail. I think he's planting clues. I think this is a clue. If I understand this correctly, this photo was put out by his marketing guy. Okay, I don't believe it's possible for a marketing guy who is being paid by Deshaun Watson to do marketing to not consult Deshaun Watson before he puts this out, because that would be the quickest way to be an ex-marketing guy. In terms of Miami, that makes sense to me. They are an up-and-coming team. There's a player or two that he played with in Clemson. They have a black coach that mattered to him when he was in Houston before Culley was named. That was an important consideration. Now I think the next step is exploring whether or not you trade him for Tua and a number 1 pick.
Well, the ball could be in Houston's court, the Texans' court at some point. It's not there yet. But I don't think this takes too much, tea leaf reading, which I accuse you of doing because you do love it. The first reports were Miami. Miami was the team in question when this first came up. There's no shock there. There's no shock that young players like to go to Florida if they can, South Florida if they can, where there are all kinds of maybe advantages with weather and taxes and any number of things. South Beach. So this is not a shock, Tony. You don't need to leave breadcrumbs. And if you have a guy recruiting you, a teammate or two, particularly that you liked, and they're saying, hey, listen, let's sit down and talk about this. We'd love to have you. I'm sorry, some leagues might want to call that tampering stupidly. But, Tony, I mean, this is a first place now that Deshaun Watson will be rumored to go if Miami has the assets that interest the Houston Texans management.
But they do. They have a number 1 pick, which at one point belonged to Houston before the Laramie Tunsil trade. And they have Tua. I should remind people, Tua was a great college quarterback. He won a national championship. He's not some guy. He's a really great prospect. And if you're Houston, and I understand why Houston says we don't want to trade him now. They don't have to. It's February. But you get closer to the draft deadline in late April, and if you become convinced Deshaun Watson's going to sit out, this is a good trade for you, and he wants to go. What's the problem here? Our next story is about J.J. Watt, who, unlike Deshaun Watson, is free to sign wherever he wants. Mary Kay Cabot writes in The Plain Dealer, that place could be Cleveland. She says Watt is seriously considering Cleveland because they have a roster he thinks can compete for a Super Bowl, and they have plenty of cap space to accommodate him. Wilbon, if you were J.J. Watt, would you be entranced with Cleveland?
Hell yeah. J.J. Watt knows he's wearing 99, but he knows a guy wearing 95 can be somewhere else on that line, and they can wreak havoc on people. Even at a time and place in the NFL that doesn't want defense to succeed, those guys can wreak havoc. And Cleveland is as reasonably close as anybody. I mean, Kansas City wasn't a lock, and they're going to be teams chasing them, and Cleveland's going to be one of them. Cleveland was already one of them. So, yes, why not? Why not Cleveland? And they also have room to pay him more money, cap space, they say, than some of the other teams, Tony, that are favored to be conference title contenders. So, yes, if you're Watt, why wouldn't you think of Cleveland, have them listed way up high on your wish list?
So for the people that don't know that Myles Garrett is that number, I will mention Myles Garrett on one side of the line and J.J. Watt on the other side of the line. I would not go to Cleveland, even though they have that, and they looks like under Kevin Stefanski, their offense has settled in. I would not go for 2 reasons. One, and you mentioned one of them, Kansas City. I don't want to be in the same conference as Kansas City because I think Kansas City's better. And 2, I think over the last 8 to 10 to 40 years, we have come to realize that Cleveland is one small slip away from tumbling down the side of the trail. And, you want to know what's going to happen with Odell Beckham. If I were J.J. Watt, I think I'd want to go to Green Bay That's my home state.
You mean
They've
the
been
team that
more
just lost to Tampa Bay? You mean them? You're running away from Kansas City. You're scared of Kansas City, but not scared of Tom Brady?
No, not at 43. I would stay away from Pittsburgh because I think they're headed in the opposite direction, even though his brothers, I think, played. J.J. Watt's in a fabulous position, Mike. He can go anywhere he wants. I don't think money should be the factor. He's made $100 million in his career. I think winning should be the factor. So if I'm J.J. Watt, and Cleveland's fine, I want to go to the best contender I can go to. I want to do what Kevin Durant did. I want to go to the best team if I can.
He went to the would-be champions. Champions once removed is what he went to.
All right, let's take a break. Still to come, James Harden had a triple-double for the Nets last night. But did Kyrie Erving do something even more impressive?
And Serena Williams has made it to the semifinals of the Aussie Open. But should name side baseball.
Toss-up, more impressive last night. James Harden or Kyrie Erving?
Let's not get too carried away. They beat the Sacramento Kings. It's a very bad team.
No, they're not a very bad team. Thanks for paying attention.
He was 15 of 22 from the field, 9 of 11 from 3. Harden had 29, 14 assists, 13 rebounds, his 5th triple-double since going to the Nets. Look, they've switched positions. Kyrie has said, I'm the shooting guard. You're the point guard. And James Harden has responded fabulously and shown people he's not just a selfish scorer. In terms of the body of the work all year and the fullness of his responsibilities, James Harden has been tremendously impressive and deserves praise. In terms of this specific question, it's Kyrie Erving, more impressive last night. Shot 9 of 11 from 3. Come on.
Yeah, but like you, Tony, I got to give more credit, spend time giving credit to James Harden. And it's before Kyrie said, I'm the point guard, I'm the shooting guard, you're the point guard. It was before that. James Harden walked in and he assessed, right? He looked at the situation and he said, somebody has got to consistently pass the basketball here and be the facilitator primarily, and I'm fine with it. Even though 1 year recently, James Harden averaged like 36 a game. He was in Jordan and Wilt land. He was there. But now he passes the ball with such precision, and he is setting up people as if he's Magic F. Johnson, the way he's been playing these, 10, 12 games. So, Tony, I'm going to go with the overall big picture and say James Harden, even though Kyrie has been great. And Kyrie's not playing tonight. I got tickets to that game.
Don't go to the
tickets.
Game.
What do you mean
don't go to the game? Stand up, your boy Book and your boy CP3. What's next?
Toss up. Who do you favor in their upcoming Australian Open semifinals? Serena Williams or Naomi Osaka?
Serena's running out of time. She's 39 years old. She needs one more major to catch Margaret Court with 24 majors. She has not won a major since the 2017 Aussie Open. She's not been to a final since the 2019 U.S. Open, where I believe Osaka beat her. She went 0 for 3 last year. She beat Halep yesterday. That's a really big win. Osaka's won, I think, 19 matches in a row. She beat her in a final, although she says she gets nervous playing against her. My heart tells me it's Serena, but my head tells me it's Osaka, because these are the kinds of matches in the last couple of years that Serena has lost.
Yeah, Tony, I'm with you right to the letter on all of that. Osaka seems like she's in that place right now where she's going to be unbeatable for a while. She's in that Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. She's in that window where you're going down if you're playing against her. The only athletic entity hotter than Osaka right now is the Utah Jazz, and we know how you dismiss them. But Osaka, Tony, I mean, she's just crushing people. And my heart is with Serena. I'm gonna watch this match no matter what time it comes on. I'm gonna root for Serena, but Osaka has to be the answer to that question.
I had it wrong. It's a 2018 final at the U.S. Open that Osaka won. Serena lost to someone else on another one. That's it. Not a scratch on me, and I love Utah and Salt Lake City. Let's take one last break. In fact, I think they're going to win every game for the rest of the year. Still to come, Ben Simmons scores 42 while playing center for the Sixers.
All right, let's see whose alarm clock works and who likes to hit snooze. Naomi Osaka drilling Shea Suway. Serena Williams rolling Simona Halep. The matchup everyone wanted, as if there was any doubt, will be the semis Wednesday night/Thursday morning. Osaka versus Williams. How they got here, how they're trending going in, and this quote from Osaka that she's intimidated when she's up against Serena. Clinton Yates, what do we have here?
I think we have a situation where Serena actually has a little bit more to overcome than Naomi in this situation. Number one, she's trying to chase 24 in terms of the record and all that. But the tennis she's playing right now, if she plays the way she played against Sabalenka or even Potapova, who she got to the tiebreak in the first set with, she's going to lose. And she knows that because of how well Osaka's been playing. So I think that she's going to have to play her best tennis to beat the person who she intimidates the most.
So you hear Osaka say, I'm a little intimidated by Serena Williams, and you think Serena should be more, I don't want to put words in your mouth,
I think Serena has more to do. Serena has more to do in this situation. But of course, I understand Naomi being intimidated by the GOAT.
Woody Page?
Yeah, I don't think Osaka's going to be intimidated. She's 2-1 overall. One, she beat her in the only major they played in. And we know that Serena hasn't been intimidated since she was probably 2 years old by anything. And Serena is playing so well. I mean, she has decided at this age to slow down her serve and also to go deeper with her volleys. And I think that it's paying off. There's not going to be intimidation. This should be a final. It should be the final, not
I like
where
what you're saying about slowing down her serve and working on the volley. It sounds like somebody who's watching the match at what would be 1 a.m. your time, benefiting from that mountain time zone. Sarah Spain, how about you?
What do we have here? Well, we have a matchup of two NWSL owners, Angel City versus NC Courage. We have two people who should not be intimidated. Serena for obvious reasons, but Naomi Osaka 10-0 in quarterfinals or later of majors. She has not won a major once she's reached the quarterfinals ever, and that 2-1 record against Serena. So Serena might find more ambition because she's going for that record tying, or it could be something that causes her tension and pressure. So you could read this any number of ways. I'm just fired up for the match.
Has never not won a major. She made the quarterfinals too. Double negative proves positive for Spain. Go ahead, Jackie.
That is an absolutely incredible stat. I just look at the two of these, and I don't know, maybe you guys thought of this. I keep thinking of like Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, to be honest. The next great, wonderful person who could be the greatest of all time before she's done, Osaka. She certainly has the makings of it, but standing in her way is someone that's been there before, that knows what it takes. I can't wait to see this match either. I wish it happened sooner, and by that I mean I wish Serena was a little younger, I guess is really what I'm saying. That doesn't mean she can't win, and Lord knows I'm rooting like crazy for her, and I love Osaka. I always root for Osaka unless she's playing Serena in number 24.
Buy or sell two, a conversation that is now happening in college basketball. Jalen Johnson opting out of the Duke season with 6 games left before the ACC tournament. He'll prepare for the NBA draft. But the conversation in college basketball's world right now and how it responded is part of this story. John Rothstein, quote, with 3 weeks left, isn't opting out, it's quitting. Jeff Goodman, quote, off-court issues, end quote, between Johnson's camp and the Blue Devils. Woody, let's start here. How do you consider a player leaving with 6 games left?
Well, I know this is called buy or sell, but I am going to accept if he wants to opt out. 19-year-olds are not quitters. The guy is concerned about his future. He's not getting paid. It's in a pandemic. They are meaningless games. Duke is not any good this year. He was injured. He's come back. He's coming off the bench. Why not get on with your life where you can earn some money?
Sarah Spain?
I agree. I think it's his right to step away, even if it's disappointing to the coach and teammates. It's also the right of NBA teams to look at his record in high school and college and decide for themselves whether they should be concerned about his decision-making. What's not right, and I've heard, is people saying this is going to end up like bowl games where we're going to ruin March Madness. That system has been broken and continues to be broken, so if players want out to make themselves money instead of you, then fix the system. Don't criticize the players.
So you're buying this as a former college athlete. Jackie McMullen, you also a former college athlete. How do you hear a player leaving a team with 6 games to go?
So I don't love this because I do believe in staying through to the end with your team, your teammates, your coach, and all of that. But if we're talking about business, and that's what we talk about in sports all the time now, this is a business decision. Just like we were talking before about teams making a business decision, the player has a right to make one as well. And that's what he's done here. He had some sort of injury. Our guy says he's ranked as the number 1 small forward in the draft. He's still going to get drafted pretty high regardless of this.
Glenn Yates.
There's a pandemic. He's injured. The team's not that great, and he wants to go pro, but he's going to go top 10. There is nothing at all to sell here. Reminder, Kyrie Irving played 11 games for those exact Duke Blue Devils.
You believe, much like the Draymond conversation we had 5-10 minutes ago, that the player is getting too much heat here, being called a quitter, Jackie McMullen.
Yeah, I do to some degree. Now, I don't know this player at all. I don't know the ins and outs of his the deals with the team, but he's made a decision. He's gambling on himself. So it's all about what he's going to do in the future. He's gambling on himself.
It wasn't too many weeks ago his coach, or former coach, I guess at this point, Coach K had said there shouldn't be an NCAA tournament. There shouldn't be a season going forward.
Well, that's because he's not going to be in it.
Like he wanted to opt out at some point. Jackie McMullen, Clint Yates, that'll be the last word. Woody Page, Sarah.